Welcome everybody to another episode of Time to Draw with Mr. Shaw. Today we're going to be drawing a dinosaur, Tyrannosaurus Rex style dinosaur. May not be scientifically accurate, but it'll be easy to draw, it'll be kind of cute, and I'll show you some different things you could do with him when we're done. So as always, you're going to need something to draw with, pencil, marker, pen, crayons, whatever you have lying around, piece of paper, any other writable surface. If you're out of paper, maybe the inside of an old cereal box, you could use a piece of cardboard. Just make sure you have your parents' permission before you draw on something weird. But today we're going to start with our T-Rex. We're going to do some really simple shapes. I'm going to start with his head as just a rectangle. I'm going to draw that rectangle in pretty lightly at first so that I can kind of get the shape and the size. I want my T-Rex to be pretty big on my paper, so I'm going to give him a pretty big rectangle here. Then I can darken it in a little bit. You'll probably see me throughout the video going back and darkening a line or fiddling with something I always drew, and that's always something you can do. Your picture's never really done until you're done drawing it. So coming down from this rectangle, I'm going to have a triangle right about here, coming down, not quite to the bottom of my paper, but pretty close to it. Just about like that. And that's going to be the body of my little T-Rex. It's very simple to put him together, and we can round it out, make him look more like a dinosaur in a couple of minutes. So once I have this kind of blocked in, I can give him a little tail back here, just a triangle-shaped tail. And T-Rexes are kind of famous for their little hands, their little claws that can't reach things. So I'm going to give him just two curved lines. So I'm going to have it go down and then up, kind of an angle. Those of you who are studying geometry, down and then up. This one's pretty close to a right angle. And then I'm going to give him two little curved claws here. Now his other hand, I need to do either a little lower or a little higher. This time I think I'm going to go a little lower, and I'm going to just have his hand stick out back there, and two little claws. And now it looks like he has two of them. Now if you want to erase, if you have an eraser, that little line here to make this arm look in front of his body, that's something a lot of people like to do. And that back arm, you can actually color it in just a little bit back there, just to make it look like it's behind the body. You can do a little bit of erasing here on the tail if you'd like to do that, as well as on the neck. While we're up here, let's go ahead and draw his eye. Now I want my T-Rex to look pretty angry, so I'm going to do a downward diagonal line with about half of a circle in there. Now I'm going to draw very lightly, kind of a little rectangle for his eyebrow, and I'm going to draw little straight lines going along that. That kind of looks like that reptile style brow with the hard bumpy skin right there. If you want to draw some little scales around the eye as well, that'll make him look more like a lizard. Dinosaurs were giant lizards. They are reptiles related to crocodiles and actually birds, a lot of scientists believe. We're going to give him a little nostril here, and I'm going to give him a mouth. So I'm going to draw a line coming back, but I want him to be pretty happy about his prehistoric life, so I'm going to give him a little smile. And if you want, you can even draw little triangles to have some teeth sticking out. I can have his little tongue sticking out, like if he's looking for something to eat. And now we have a nice dinosaur head. Now down here for his bottom legs, we're going to draw a big curved line like this, almost like a backwards letter C. And then starting from the tail, we're going to come in towards that and then do a letter C kind of in the normal direction. So a curved line going this way, a curved line going this way, and then we're going to draw two toes for our T-Rex and just curve that line. It almost looks like a backwards S here and here. I can give him some little claws on those toes. And then I'm going to copy the same shape over on this side. I'm going to come down, just not quite as low as this foot. So I'm going to have another foot with two toes, a little bit higher up. I'm going to give them some claws. And if you want to erase that bottom part of the triangle there, you can. And it's a pretty good looking dinosaur. So if you want, I like to put little ridges, little spikes going down his back. I'm going to darken some of these lines a little bit more. And once you've done that, you've got a pretty good looking T-Rex there. Now you could stop here. You've got a nice dinosaur. You could just stop. or you could give them someplace to live. Now, dinosaurs lived hundreds of millions of years ago, so one of the first things I want to do is I'm going to draw the ground and then separate that from the sky. It's called the horizon line. So fairly straight line going across my paper here. I don't want to draw it through my dinosaur. But then I want this to look like a very warm Jurassic period, hundreds of millions of years ago. So when I think of the trees that I see a lot of times in pictures that show dinosaurs are like palm trees. So I'm drawing two curved lines up and then just doing a crisscross pattern on the trunk and then making leaves that are just these long pointy triangle shapes going all the way around like that. Now you could do it that way, or you could even start with that kind of pointed star pattern, that palm tree top, and then you could curve those two lines down afterwards. Either way works as long as you end up with some of those palm trees. Now if you want some of them to look a little bit further away, you could move them higher up, a little closer to that horizon line, and just make them a little smaller, and they'll look further away. Now my dinosaur has a lot of room to kind of move around in. Now, one thing that I always think about when I see a prehistoric style picture is volcanoes. So I'm going to draw a big volcano shape back here. And have some lava dripping down the side. I don't want it to be actively exploding, though I could absolutely do that, so could you. I'm just going to have some smoke gently drifting up towards the sky. Now that volcano looks kind of lonely back there, so I'm actually going to give my setting here just kind of a mountain line. Maybe there's some other volcanoes, maybe just some regular mountains, just to give myself a foreground and a background to show a little bit of space. Now, I would imagine it's pretty hot back then, so there may also be some big leafy plants growing on the ground. I can do as many of those or as little of those as I want. I'm going to do quite a few of them. I think I'm going to put one more palm tree back here. Do that little pattern. But then I could have the sun in this picture, and if I really, really wanted to look warm and hot, I'm going to make my sun kind of behind the mountains here, and I'm going to make it really, really big. And that's going to give the impression that maybe that sun is really hot. I'm going to do just some light lines around it, kind of radiating from the sun, coming out in a circular pattern. Now I've got a really nice drawing of a dinosaur living in prehistoric times. He's got a nice warm landscape, some volcanoes, some palm trees, but that's not the only way you have to do it. You can make any kind of setting you want. This doesn't have to be set in real life. Maybe instead of in prehistoric times, maybe your dinosaur could be living in modern times, maybe tromping his way through the city, eating buildings and cars. Maybe there's helicopters following him. It could be totally make-believe. Anything you want to draw in the background is totally up to you. Maybe your dinosaur isn't big at all. Maybe it's a little tiny pet-sized dinosaur that you could have in your living room. You could feed him chicken drumsticks and let him sleep on the couch. So feel free to do anything you want with that picture. If you have a good idea, if you're really proud of your drawing, snap a picture of it. Henry Johnson Charter School Scholar, send that to me on Class Dojo, and I'll put it up in the next video. If you have any ideas of something you'd like to draw next time, or something you'd just like to learn about or learn how to draw, comment below and I'll see what I can do. As always, stay safe out there, wash your hands, and we'll see you soon.